I'm a Brazilian guy, 20 years old today, but around 12 when this story happened. It was just a normal school day. Boring subjects, annoying people. You know, the usual. I come from a good family with somewhat good financial situation. So at the time, I had with me a Motorola V3 cell phone, which was top tier back at the time. Also uncommon for kids to have one. Every day after school, it would take a while for my father to pick me up with his car, which used to be a silver Mariva. It was also the same car that he used to drive me to school with. That being said, one day, I was waiting for my dad to pick me up, and I was passing the time by playing some Super Mario Brothers on my DS, which I of course took to school. That's when my cell phone rang, and I heard the voice of a somewhat cheery man saying,
"Hey Pete, it's your Uncle Paul. I'm here to pick you up for your dad. Come outside."
And I simply answered with,
"Okay,"
and left through the gate. The thing is, it was still early. Way earlier than my dad usually picks me up. When I thought about that, I went back inside and waited for another call. And it came fast.
"Where are you?"
the man asked. I replied with,
"Yeah, I don't see you."
And he sighed on the other side, giving me instructions.
"I'm with the same blue Corolla that I dropped you off in today this morning, Pete. Come on,"
he said, and hung up. He was getting impatient. My 12-year-old brain processed what was happening and connected the dots. I had no uncles with a name that started with P. They were all A's. Also, it couldn't be my mom's brother because he's been dead for a long time now. The last thing was that nobody called me Pete, an American nickname, except for my family, those being brothers, sisters, and my parents. I started to get nervous and talked to my friends about it. After all, some of them were still there. Basically, all they said was, "Yeah, tell him to go F himself." Now, I'm not one that likes to cuss, so I went to the principal for help. On my way there, the man calls again, and I pick up. This time he was angry.
"Why the hell are you taking so long, you son of a bitch? Blue Corolla, are you brain dead? Get out here with that stupid video game of yours."
And then he hung up. I instantly froze. Thoughts rushed through my head such as, "They're trying to kidnap me. Is this real?" And so on. I started running to the principal's office. I was getting nervous and I called my dad, who answered quickly. I took a deep breath as to not seem scared.
"Dad, did you by chance send someone named Paul to come here and pick me up?"
I asked, my heart pounding, waiting to hear what I already assumed. And that's what I got.
"No. Whoever is calling you, do not go outside. I'll be right there,"
he said, and hung up. I went inside the office bursting into tears, asking for someone to get the man that was probably out there waiting for me in a blue Corolla. I gave the teacher and the principal the number he was calling me from, and they called, to no avail, so they decided to go outside and check the blue Corolla for themselves. I stayed in the office, and I got another call. This time I picked it up with shaking hands, but I knew he couldn't harm me.
"What's taking so long, you little shit?"
He screamed.
"Listen, I know you're not an uncle of mine. You have no idea which car I came to school in, and you're trying to kidnap me for whatever reason. I am not going outside,"
I screamed.
"Again,"
he said quietly. I screamed,
"What?"
and called him sick and crazy, and he said,
"You're not coming outside again. You've been out. You just know better,"
before laughing like a maniac and hanging up. I held my phone in my hand and stared at nothingness for a while, until the teacher and the principal came back saying there was no such blue Corolla outside. Shortly after, my dad arrived, and I sat there as my dad talked on the phone trying to track the number that had been calling to find someone by the name of Paul. I took the rest of the week off school, and eventually I'd have nightmares about being outside school and being grabbed. After this happened, I went back to school the next week and instantly joined the Kendo Club in order to know something about self-defense, especially if I got the chance to be armed with something. Years later, my mom and dad divorced. I saw that coming though. After all, when this episode happened, I was living with my older brothers, because they didn't want me involved in their fights. However, once I came back home with my mom, I found out that they had been divorced because my father had about 5 different lovers in 5 different places. And one of them even called my mom saying,
"You won. I tried everything to keep him from me, but you won."
Or at least that's what my mom says. I wonder, could all this kidnap story be part of a scheme that one of these lovers had to steal my dad from us? If it was, then that just makes me more uncomfortable knowing a human being is capable of probably killing a kid for whatever they want. Good thing is today that I'm 20 years old, a teacher, and a regional champion of kendo, and I have never heard of Paul ever again. But I still wonder what would have happened to me if I didn't have the sense to go back inside and keep looking for him. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you email it to urmaker6260@gmail.com. I hope everyone's having a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.